Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I'm Lupinefiasco. This is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing Kayo, Armed and Dangerous. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles as if I were taking them now, walking you through my thought process for the line I would take, and compare that to the line I did take at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns, with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events and walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new episode of Daily FaB Gameplay in your YouTube feed. I also have a Discord, a Blue Sky, and a Patreon, links to which are found in the video description. A Patreon sub at the Arc Lightning tier or higher will get you access to the matchup guide for this deck and for every one of my decks forever. Without further ado, let's jump right into the action. I'm still working on the Florian matchup with Kayo. I think it's very much doomed. Kayo attacks purely on a physical axis and generally for very fair amounts of damage, and that is an environment in which Florian thrives. If we aren't disrupting him in a meaningful way, if we aren't presenting split damage that forces him to deal with arcane and physical at the same time, or if we aren't just going massively above rate, then I don't really see how Kayo can punch through whatever Florian is trying to do. Florian, who thrives on smaller hands, much like we do, but is able to either present 2-card disruption that we can't interact with, like Plow Under and Felling of the Crown, or split damage in the form of Grasp of the Arknight plus Reaping Blade. So one thing that is different with this list now than it was in this game is that I am back on 3 copies of Cast Bones, Cutting the Savage Beatdowns, and Reckless Swing, and we are allowed to do that because Enigma doesn't exist in Classic Constructed anymore. There is no hero that demands an immediate pivot, deal with this right now or die response, such as Manifestations of Miragai. So we are allowed to start taking off turns, and when the top half of the meta includes defensive decks like Florian, Jarl, even Vincent, we can start to take advantage of hands that they may have drawn with multiple defense reactions to just take a turn off and play Cast Bones, which I'm not doing in this game, and maybe we'll see how that could have impacted the outcome of this game differently. I'm also playing Nullrune Gloves, and I'm not 100% sold on that being correct, just based on how infrequently Reaping Blade Florian is stacking Rune Chant. So we're in a weird spot now as the meta kind of settles to decide if Stack Florian or Reaping Blade Florian, Stack Florian being Scepter of Pain, focusing on generating a massive stack of Rune Chants and then attacking with Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath, is going to be the definitive Florian deck. I think Apex Bonebreaker is very good into traditional Reaping Blade Florian, and we don't really care so much about preventing Rune Chants, while against Stack Florian, we're really never going to be able to block with our Bonebreaker outside of the 1 or 2 times that Florian does attack us, so we're probably getting more value out of a Nullrune Gloves, where we can start pitching our non-blocks to prevent arcane damage, and then returning with a 2-card hand. Unfortunately, Scowling Flashbag is pretty meaningless against a hero like Florian. There are certain builds that we can catch with cards like Rune Ranger Swarm or Swarming Gloomveil, but for the most part, Florian can just easily play around Flashbag, and our alternate option of Skullhorn is also meaningless because it is, unfortunately, in this instance, AB2. Now, if Skullhorn was AB1, we could play that and Apex Bonebreaker and feel great, but we are kind of locked into Fleshbag here. So all of this is to say that this matchup is kind of unfortunate. We're going to try to navigate it the best that we can. I did win this die roll and chose to go first. I'm not even 100% sure on that, but I do know that I want to prevent Florian from going first. If nothing else, I'm just setting a card in Arsenal and passing the turn so that he cannot start to filter Earth cards into his graveyard for Decompose, But we do draw an Agile windup in this opening hand, which is pretty good. So we are going to discard the Agile windup, make our Might and Agility, and then we will Arsenal our Bare Fangs and just pass the turn over to Florian. Drawing into a Bloodrush Fellow here is pretty good. If we don't get disrupted, I am comfortable just firing this off, especially because I don't really see how we could safely navigate a hand to, say, pitch a blue, play a Bare Fangs, just take the 50-50 that we don't discard Bloodrush Bellow. Unfortunately, that is kind of what we're going to have to do in this case. So we could give Fleshbag, Leathers, and a blue to prevent the on-hit of CNC. Honestly, that may be good enough, because what we'll do instead is block with probably Assault and Battery and Smash Instinct, and then play Bare Fangs and just hope that we win the 50-50 to not discard our Blood Rush. I think given the nature of Florian and how little we will get to actually use our Fleshbag for value, we should just take the opportunity to cash it in now, keep a card in hand so that we can play a 3-card Blood Rush, have 2 floating resources, and hopefully draw something to do after we Bare Fangs at the start of our turn. So if I'm making this block now, it is Fleshbag, Leathers, and Assault and Battery, keeping my 2 Smash Instincts. But it's also reasonable to block with Assault and Battery and Smash Instinct and save the armor. The only thing to consider there is that we really are now locked into taking a chance on the Bare Fangs not discarding Bloodrush Bellow. I mean, we could have blocked with Bloodrush there, and then we are just saying, we're going to pitch a blue, we're going to play Bare Fangs, we're going to draw a discard, and then the follow-up will be either Arsenal a red or pitch a blue to Mandible Claw. But we are just in a bad enough spot in this game that I think it's reasonable to try and take a chance here. I mean, that turn 1 CNC is really unfortunate. The fact that Florian just happened to have the one piece of disruption that can hit us when he has no graveyard to banish to decompose. This is also a matchup where I'm playing Spring Tunic, and maybe I should be on Savage Sash. It Leathers and Fleshbag can block the CNC. We are just trying to go very wide on a turn, and maybe that is the way to beat Florian. Just try to end the game quickly, not let him turn online, not let him get multiple Earth cards in banish to chain Fellings and Plow Unders together. So I could actually see that being correct. Maybe just another way in which we can sideboard a little differently for this matchup and try and not just be super dead to what Florian has going on. I need Strike for 7, which we will just take. This is a hand where I do want to fire off a Blood Rush here, just because we have 5 cards and Tunic. We're really hoping that we pitch our Wreck-A-Romp and then don't discard Wild Ride, which of course we do, and then don't draw into anything else with Go again. The nature of playing Kayo, a big reason why I do not like this deck anymore after playing Aurora and having the raw power of consistency. This is probably a time where we could roll Scabskins and just try to make something out of this turn. If we roll a 4, 5, or 6, then we get to play Smash Instinct, pitching Agile Windup. We then get to play Clash of Might, pitching Mighty Windup. As it is, I think the best way to utilize this turn now is to, without rolling Scabs, is to play Smash Instinct. Pitching our Mighty Windup, we discard Agile Windup to make an Agility, and then we Arsenal Clash of Might. I agree with that in the past as well. If Florian gives us Face Purgatory here, then we just discard Agile Windup to Face Purgatory and Arsenal Clash of Might. But discarding the Wild Ride there, really not good for us. We really needed that to try to make something out of this turn. Not that we're necessarily even guaranteed to have a turn, as Florian does have Face Purgatory available. But it is just something you have to navigate in this matchup. Face Purgatory really destroys your Blood Rush Bellow turn. Grasp into Sword, Florian taking the intellect penalty. Unfortunately, what can we do with that? We have enough cards in our hand that what we can look to do is pitch a blue, attack with Clash of Might from Arsenal. It will have Go again thanks to our agility, so we're sending 7 with Go again. We can then, with the 2 floating resources, with the 1 floating resource, pitch a Clash of Might into Mandible Claw to go for 3, then discard Mighty Windup to make 2 mites and give it Go again, then use our Tunic to send Run Roughshod. So I think that's the best line here. I don't believe that's the line I'm going to take, but that is the line, it is the most efficient use of our cards. So we take 4 here, go to 28. On our turn, we pitch Assault and Battery, play Clash of Might from Arsenal for 7 Go again. We pitch Clash of Might from hand to attack with Mandible Claw for 3. After damage, we discard Mighty Windup to make 2 mites and satisfy Mandible Claw's condition to get Go again by discarding a card with 6 or more power. And then we use our Tunic to play Run Roughshod, which now has had its condition to be played met. So we are sending 15 damage off of 5 cards and making 2 mites on the back end. So that means that we do not use our Tunic here, and we do not block the Reaping Blade. But I do choose to do it here. We'll see how I'm going to navigate this turn. It might just be Clash of Might, pitch, discard Mighty Windup into Run Roughshod. So rather than send a 5-card 17, we are sending a 4-card 15. And then we prevented 4 damage on the previous turn. So this is actually more overall value, but we are pushing less offensive value. And going back to what I had said about maybe running Savage Sash, if we're trying to end the game quickly, then we do want to maximize offensive value rather than overall value, meaning that we would rather be at 28 if it meant that we could put our Florian at 28 than being at 32 when our Florian is at 31. So given that hand, we have the Savage Beatdown. That is an interesting one, considering that we would have had a Cast Bones. Now here I think my line was just wrong. I'm not 100% why I played the Bear Fangs. I think I did want to attempt to keep Savage Beatdown or Wild Ride for Arsenal, but we are taking an intellect penalty here. So if this Bear Fangs is instead Wild Ride, then we get to Mandible Claw Bear Fangs at the end of the chain rather than arsenaling Wild Ride and taking an intellect penalty. So that's absolutely a misplay. This is the classic Wild Ride blue plus 2 other cards that we are looking for in Kayo, because there is just a chance that we get to send 3 chain links and potentially look at sending 7, 3, 8 as a 4-card 18. We are going to have our Tunic up on our next turn. We are looking at pitching Assault and Battery, playing Wild Ride from Arsenal, and then if we could draw another blue for Mandible Claw CNC, Arsenal Wild Ride, that would be pretty cool. We are going to take some damage here. We don't need to block any of this. Florian dodging the Arsenal at all by discarding Fruits of the Forest makes our turn much worse, as we don't have the opportunity to get Florian with a Command and Conquer. Now, it doesn't matter because we discarded it anyway. And now we need to figure out how to salvage the rest of this turn, which is probably going to be pitch Wild Ride, play Beast Within, and then Arsenal Wild Ride. Alternatively, we can pitch, we can use our Tunic to play Red Wild Ride, hope to discard our Beast Within. If we don't, then we're just hoping that whatever is on top of our deck is something we want to put in our arsenal so that we can pitch whatever yellow we end up keeping. I think that's the best line, so I would like to Tunic here to play Red Wild Ride. I think this is reasonable. We're arsenaling the Red Wild Ride, we're keeping our Tunic, so we are setting up for something on our next turn, but really unhappy with how I've been piloting this game so far. We cannot afford to make the game long. Florian is already half the way towards being online, and we need to really be pushing damage and attempting to get him down very quickly. And if we could have avoided arsenaling here, that would have been nice too. I mean, what we're going to do now is block with, I believe, Riled Up and CNC. Our turn is going to be pitch Reckless Swing, attack with Wild Ride, hope that we get to keep Swing Big so that we can Tunic Swing Big on our turn as the follow-up here. At the very least, we hope that we get to draw something good for the arsenal. We draw the absolute worst card in our deck, the single card that I will never put into my arsenal. So we are just going to pitch the Wrecker Romp and attack with Mandible Claw here. Just one more reason that, while just playing KO, feel bad after having spent so much time with Aurora. The inconsistency is just... sometimes it is heartbreaking how bad your deck can draw and discard. We deal no damage to Florian. Florian gets to keep presumably a blue in order to grasp Reaping Blade for 4. That is, in fact, what's happening. Our hand is kind of bad, so I do think using Tunic here is fine. We're going to play Wild Ride, we're going to pitch Sandpacking, and we're hoping that we discard Beast Within. This is fine. We can block with Clash of Might, get a card out of our hand, put ourselves at a 50-50. I hate this line. I think I'm trying to set up here. Play Clash of Might for 7, Arsenal Wild Ride, and again, going back to the same old thing, we should not be trying to slow roll Florian. We need to be going for our big value plays that get Florian down very quickly and don't give him time to decompose. The longer this game goes, the better Florian gets, and the worse we get because we are burning through our Go Again, we're burning through our Blood Rush Bellows and our Beast Withins. We need to end the game quickly. Very interested in reevaluating my sideboard strategy. So I think Tunic gets cut. We do put in Savage Sash because we want to put that one big turn together if we can. Lowland Gloves probably does need to stay just as a hedge against Scepter Florian. We feel really bad about bringing Apex Bonebreaker into Scepter Florian, who I think plays 9 attacks in his deck, period. And we, I think, do want the option to pitch to AB1 rather than just getting our 3 points of value from Bonebreaker, potentially 5 points of value. So here we get our first Felling of the Crown. We can think about what to bottom, Snap Decision to bottom Savage Beatdown, which is reasonable, definitely makes sense. It is counter to my strategy so far of just trying to set up, so I'm interested, I find it interesting that I took that line. I think this line is fine as well. We're going to play Wild Ride, we're going to pitch Run Roughshod. So this line really lends itself to trying to end the game quickly. Just interesting that I have not been doing that at all so far. I think Mandible Claw pitching Sandpacking here is correct in looking to arsenal that pack hunt, but I do think that clearing out our arsenal, considering that we haven't seen any Plow Unders from our opponent yet, is fine. It also allows us to push a little damage, as Florian very likely does not want to stay on one card. We see another Felling, which is terrifying. We really do not want our Florian to chain these together. Florian is also now online. He was previously, but he still is. And this is where we really get punished for letting the game drag out as long as it has. We're on turn 10 now. Florian has played 2 of the Fellings, still has a Felling left in deck, and is online. So Florian can just afford to play very, very slowly here as long as he's doing one thing every turn, and that thing is pitching a blue to grasp and attacking with Reaping Blade. A single card is worth 5 from Florian now, and even more if he is making multiple mites from Canopy Shelters. What I would like to do here is not Tunic. Again, a mistake. Our line should be take the 2 Rune Chants, go to 15. We can block the Reaping Blade with Wrecker Romp. On our turn, we pitch Riled Up to attack with Mandible Claw for 4. We discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, and then use our Tunic to play Swing Big. I assume that what I am going to do here is block with the Wrecker Romp, send Swing Big for 10, and then discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, but using the Tunic defensively when we should be using it offensively. I'll keep harping on that because I continue to make the same mistake over this game of just playing very passively and slow against Florian. We can't treat Florian like a Guardian as much as we would like to. This strategy would be very effective against a Guardian, where we are just slow rolling, making sure we're getting our weapon value, and looking to set up for our Blood Rush Bellow turns that are going to turn the tide of the game, but against Florian we just don't have that much time. As the game goes longer, Florian gets better. We're also unfortunately going to have our Tunic down on our next hand, which is when we would have the agility, so the next hand is really when we do want Tunic available. Now, if we took the Claw line, Tunic would still be down. Let's see what Florian can do with 2 Quickens, funnily enough. There are multiple lines available to him, so we've got a Reaping Blade coming in for 2 Arcane, and then 3, and very likely being followed up by Plow Under or Command and Conquer. We do want to keep cards here because we are going to Blood Rush Bellow. Oh, and Florian's just passing the turn. We also have the line to Pack Hunt, discard another Agile Windup, set up the Blood Rush Bellow. I think this is fine. I also just think it really highlights a lot of ways in which Kayo is not the hero you want to be playing in 2025. Turning an entire card into Might Agility in the current year just feels bad. And drawing your 3rd Blood Rush when you just arsenaled your 2nd Blood Rush also feels pretty bad. See what I can do with this turn. Tunic is going to be online. If Florian does do something like Command and Conquer, we have our Flesh Bag, our Leathers, and Blood Rush that we can use to cover the damage and protect our 4-card Blood Rush. We left Florian with 5 cards, which is unfortunate. Now it does look like he is going to eat the symmetrical effect of his own felling. What is truly unfortunate is that this felling threatens lethal, so not only do we need to bottom a card to the felling effect, but we then need to block. If we give up our Flesh Bag and our Leathers, we take 5 and go to 2. That doesn't put us dead to the next Grasp because we do have AB1. The problem here is that we need to do 12 points of damage plus Face Purgatory plus Barkskin plus 2 Embodiments of Earth plus Well Grounded plus Grasp. There's absolutely no way that we are able to win the game from this point. Now we do make a pretty clever play with our Bare Fangs, discarding Beast Within. We have no non-attack actions left in our deck, so we definitely don't die to our own Beast Within effect. What is scary about this is that Florian chooses to take 5 instead of using Face Purgatory. We will get to play out the rest of our hand, assuming that we don't get Face Purged here. And if we do get Face Purged, we can just discard Windup to make an Agility. We will be sending 8 more damage. But as I've said, Florian still just has all of his armor. So at a minimum, Florian can block with Face Purgatory and use Well Grounded to live. Instead, he prevents all of our damage with 8 points of block. And we'll get to just pass the turn. But a blue there would have been 2 Arcane and 3, which we would have had to give 2 cards to block. Instead, we are going to get to Mandible Claw, discard Mighty Windup into Riled Up, sending that 4-card 10, and making 2 mites on the back end. But our Tunic is not going to be up for 2 more turns, and we are just now in a position where we are spiraling. We have to give at least 2 cards to Florian every turn. This does not present lethal. Florian doesn't necessarily know that we don't have Reckless Swing in our deck. So he cannot necessarily go to 1. Now he could, because he has Well Grounded to play around the Reckless Swing, but instead can just give us a defense reaction and stay alive at 5. There is our Reckless Swing. Forgot that Florian would know that we're playing it. And we've just got an Arcane Seed's Life that is going to make 4 Rune Chants, up to 10 Rune Chants into Reaping Blade. We cannot live through this. We can prevent 10 Rune Chants, but we then die to Reaping Blade, which we are not able to cover. So we'll just take a loss there. As I said, I think the sideboarding could have been better, and I think with better sideboarding, we do a little bit better in this game. I also think we need to change the game plan. We need to be much more aggressive than we were. We need to try to end the game very quickly. I think Cast Bones can help with that, or at least help better than Savage Beatdown. It could just be that we don't play either one of them and play another attack instead. Maybe Erase Face is actually relevant in this matchup because Florian does need Earth cards to decompose. But for the most part, we do just want to raise. So I'll retool the sideboard and be a little bit more aggressive. And we'll just say that Florian is a very defensive deck, very good at playing defense and attacking on small hands, which is something that Kayo historically has problems with, as you're never guaranteed to get your big damage turns due to the nature of the deck, discarding the reds that you want to play and drawing blues that you need to pitch instead. But we'll retool, we'll see if we can make this matchup a little bit better. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to take that like button to Pound Town. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free. It helps me out a lot. In that video description, you'll find links to my Blue Sky, my Discord, and my Patreon. Links at the Arc Lightning tier or higher. You'll get access to all of my deck lists with all of my matchup guides forever. And if you want to conduct your own in-person daily FaB gameplay reviews, be sure to use my affiliate link to buy a copy of the Codex Journal. It asks excellent prompting questions that you can use after your IRL games. I'll be back later this week with more daily FaB gameplay, and until the next time I see you, take care.